Hey Scotty, didn't we get something new in the mail today? Oh, okay. That was unexpected. That looks a little beat up. Let's review it. Hello everyone and welcome to another one of our videos. Thank you very much, Scotty, for that wonderful introduction. Today we are having another look at another blast from the past product. In case you're new to this is a series where we go in the past, we open previous Precon decks or sealed products and compare them against current products and Precon decks, and also we score them and review them compared to those. So yeah, today we are having another look at another deck for Commander, and today it's one of the Warhammer 40,000 decks that was created for the Universes Beyond. This is Forces of the Imperium. And yeah, this is going to be an exciting one. Now, if you notice, this has been, taped. And yeah, it comes from Amazon straight up. It was sold as used but as new or like new, so we'll see what's inside. I mean, if this turns out to be a bust altogether and there aren't some cards in the deck, then I at least have some video proof that yeah, I opened the deck as is. But anyway, hopefully the cards will be here. So what are the contents of this deck? First off, this is the Forces of the Imperium. This is an Esper themed deck, and we have Inquisitor Greyfax on the forefront. And yes, one of the cool things about the Warhammer 40k Universes Beyond decks is that it came with 42 new cards, and of course, just like the Lord of the Rings decks, the cards inside were all artistically themed with the Universes Beyond theme. So all the cards in here, even the reprints, are themed with Warhammer 40,000 art, and that's really cool for us. So without further ado, let's have a look at the contents of this deck. So first off, we get a 100 card deck with 42 new cards. We get the foil edge display commander, 10 double-sided tokens, a deck box, a life wheel, a strategy insert, and a reference card, and that's it. I mean, first off, the fact that you get 42 cards that are completely new and that you can add to your collection is amazing. So we'll get started and we'll see how to open this. I'll go get some scissors just in case. Okay, I'm back. Here are the scissors. So yeah, I was really excited to try these decks. At the time of the official release, I didn't get to try them. I was not lucky enough or fortunate enough to be able to buy them. And so I've always been interested in getting them. This is kind of a weird sealing, because like it looks like it was sealed still, but they still put the Scotch tape here. So I was really interested to try them. I didn't get to try them, but I know a lot of the cards that are inside. Some of them which I bought as singles for the other decks. I have some of the singles from the Necron deck. But anyway, I was planning on buying each and every one of these decks because I thought they were really cool. I was a huge fan of Warhammer 40k growing up. I actually spent a lot of time in our local Games Workshop, and I started painting miniatures. I think it was around I would say 7 or 8. So that would be yeah, what was it, like 1998, 1997? So that's it. So we get the little box here. Let's have a look at the box. Really cool. I'm actually really enjoying these little boxes because I'm starting to run out of space overall, and if you add them to seal containers, all the decks as is, it starts to take up space. So the seal little boxes are fairly useful for containing the cards, but if you have some valuable cards in the deck, I advise you to sleeve them if you keep them in the deck. And then you get the life wheel and the tokens and the insert, and that's it. And you get some counters, and I actually like these counters because they're themed with the Warhammer 40k. So yeah, as I was saying, I started painting when I was about 7 or 8, and that was ages ago. At the time, the miniatures were metal. So when I saw this crossover with the Universes Beyond, I was really excited. Anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at the contents. This is printed in Belgium, by the way, so that's going to be nice. And it looks like the cards are here. It looks like the deck box was just beat up, and that's it. There's nothing else to it. It's kind of like the other deck box that we ordered through Amazon Global, and it got to us in time, but of course it came up beat up. So let's have a look at the playing the deck. insert and also the flavor. So this is playing the deck Forces of the Imperium. This is a little bit different. The usual layout is not applied here, but yeah, you get the commander and then the general, or the secondary commander, what they call, because usually also it's this way around. Anyway, then we get a little bit of story about Inquisitor Greyfax and Marneus Calgar. These are key characters of the Warhammer 40,000 lore. And yeah, I love the Inquisition, and they're pretty badass, and well, they don't mess about. So, and I think at the time I stopped painting these miniatures quite a long time ago. I stopped playing with Warhammer 40k a while ago, but had I continued playing, probably I would have continued and tried to make Battle Sisters army. But at the time I was playing with Dark Elder, which now became the Drakari for some reason. Anyway, so this is the life wheel with the art. I'm actually gonna keep these ones with the art. I really like these ones. They're less generic than the other ones for sure, and the other ones you get nowadays. And then let's have a look at the tokens and the commander proper. Okay, so let me know in the comments down below, by the way, if you've actually enjoyed these decks, if you've gotten your hands on some, and which one do you like best. I do read and reply to every comment, so I'm interested in figuring out if you enjoyed these decks. And wow, okay, so this is Inquisitor Greyfax. So it costs 1 generic and then Esper, and it's a 3/3 human Inquisitor legendary creature with vigilance and unquestionable wisdom. Other creatures you control get +1/+0 and have vigilance. So this is a great anthem and overall buff, and it all depends on how low to the ground you are. Usually when this kind of anthem effect is in play, you want to go low to the ground and then hurt a lot, or you go above your opponent's defense line. So we'll see. And then Hunt for Air Heresy, it's 1 generic and tap, and then tap target creature and opponent control, and then investigate, which allows you to create a clue token that allows you to sack and draw. So not bad. We'll see how it pans out. So far this is a fairly basic yeah, beat 'em up. So create your creatures and maybe a weenie or of sort, and just go and hurt your opponent as much as you can. The Esper colors though do tend to signify that you have some sort of control or board interaction, because there's some of the better colors for that in Magic the Gathering. Next we have a soldier token followed by a Space Marine Devastator, and that's really cool to see these cards in action. If I'm not mistaken, actually Warhammer 40k did create a card game themselves ages ago. I'm not talking about the cards that came with the products, because at one point, I don't know if they still do it, but you had battle cards with well, depending on objectives or creatures or abilities, you know, you had the little battle cards, but you had proper like a Warhammer 40k card game at one point. Anyway, then another soldier and a Zephyrim. Okay, Sisters of Battle, and then another soldier and an Ultramarines Honor Guard. Beautiful one. I love the art. Really cool art, by the way. Of course, it encapsulates the Imperium very well, this art. Then another soldier and a Sicarian Infiltrator. So from what I can see in the theme, you're going to be creating a lot of soldier tokens, which is wonderful. Another soldier and Vanguard Suppressor. Wow, a lot of tokens. So maybe it is a token deck, and it will make sense. And then Arco Flagellant. Okay, interesting. Then we get an Astartes Warrior. Of course, here are the Astartes. There are 4 of them. And then we get Robot and Cherubil and a Clue. This is a demon. Okay, that's interesting to see a demon and an Imperium of Man deck. Well, we'll see how it goes. So those are the tokens and the commander. Now let's have a look at the deck proper. Okay, so let's start from the bottom and let's have a look at the general. We've done Inquisitor, and now we have Marneus Calgar. This is a 3/5 Astartes Warrior for 2 generic and an Esper. It has double strike and Master Tactician. Whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, you get to draw a card. Okay, it's a shame that it's only 1 or more. If it was whenever a token, it would be very OP, but I understand why you're doing that. And And then we get Chapter Master. This is a 6 generic ability. You get to create 2 white Astartes Warrior creature tokens with Vigilance. Okay, so that's not bad. Basically, you get to create 2 knights. So that's knights. What should I say here? I mean, yeah, you have definite interaction with the tokens. With this one more than the other one. The other one is just an overall buffer for the the plane itself. I think it would have been nice to have had maybe the Master Tactician on Inquisitor and then the Hunt for a Heresy on Mario Skalgar, and then call them differently, whatever you wanted to call them, because of course Inquisitor's Hunt for Heresy. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's kind of annoying because Inquisitor is not super strong. It's great to give Vigilance and +1/+0 to your creatures, don't get me wrong, but that's kind of it. And yeah, you can tap creatures, but you have to tap your own creatures. So unless you have constant untapping of the Inquisitor, it's kind of like it just does that and it's done. Okay, so let's have a look, and now let's have a look at Celestine. So Celestine, the Living Saint, is a 3/4 human warrior. It's a white creature, costs 4 generic and a white, has flying, has lifelink, and healing tears. At the beginning of your end step, return target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you've gained this turn. Now, this is an amazing card for lifelink. So if, for example, for the deck, let's say you don't have a lot of lifelink, if the deck has a lot of small weenie creatures, then you're just returning creatures for 3 or for 4 if you have Inquisitor every turn, and that's really, really, really good. And it comes back into the battlefield, it's not tapped, so it's always wonderful because then you can defend with them and block with them on your opponent's turn. So that's really, really great. And yeah, even if you don't have a lot of lifelink. Now, if there's a lot of lifelink in the deck, then this is a game changer. So definitely a great little creature card, and that's really wonderful. Then we get the Defenders of Humanity. This is an enchantment. This is a beautiful art, and this is an art that I've seen before on rulebooks and the Codex Astartes. Yeah, so this is definitely a beautiful classic art. It costs X, 2 generic and a white, and when it enters the battlefield, Defenders of Humanity creates X 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature tokens with Vigilance, so token, and then for the same cost, again, you exile it and you create X 2/2 white Warrior creature token with Vigilance. Activate only if you control no creatures and only during your turn. So this is an interesting one. It allows you to create those tokens once more. Again, it's a Astartes Warrior, so it's very specific to this. You won't be able to really put this in a Knights deck, for example, if it's synergistic for Knights. But the idea is, yeah, it's really, really nice, but it's very expensive. So you get to pay 3 on top of it. But yeah, I think I like it. You get to do it twice. It's not a constant thing. You get to do it twice. The second part, it's only when you have no creatures under your control. So that's a bit iffy. Yeah, it's a good card. If there are better, change them up, but it's a good card. Next, we get For the Emperor. This is a 4, costs a sorcery. Creatures you control get +2/+2, gain Vigilance and Lifelink until the end of turn. Overall buff, not bad. Unfortunately, this is a sorcery speed, so this tends to be more annoying, but it's kind of like a go wide. It's not bad. Then we get the Space Marine Devastator. It is a 3/3 Astartes Warrior that costs 4, and it's white. Has Squad, 2 generic. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may pay 2 any number of times. When this creature enters the battlefield, you create damage tokens that are copies of it. So this is really nice. You can replicate this if you have a lot of mana. And in white, you have the Smothering Tide to generate a lot of mana. But overall, you're gonna have to create a lot of treasure tokens because you don't have the reach that green has for generating mana. But anyway, there are quite a few ways to create treasure tokens overall in Esper. So then we get Graph Cannon. When it enters the battlefield, destroy it up to 1 target artifact or enchantment, and if you've played Commander, you know how strong this ability can be. So definite interesting card. It is on the high end of cost though at the moment, and you're expecting token decks to be a little bit cheaper. So yeah, the mana value at the moment, the curve is fairly high. We'll see how it goes, because if you don't have a lot of ways to pay that cost, then you're going to be relying on, well, artifacts realistically, and if you don't have those, then you're screwed. Then we get Triumph of St. Catherine. This is a 5/5 that costs 5. It's a human warrior, has lifelink, and it's a creature, and it has Presidium Protectiva. When Triumph of St. Catherine dies, you exile it, the top 6 cards of your library in a face down pile. If you do, shuffle that pile and put it back on top of your library, and you can miracle it for 2. So you can cast this card for its miracle cost when you draw it. If it's the first card you drew this turn. Now, if you draw it, that's really, really wonderful. You can definitely get the lifelink, and again, this does synergize with Celestine. It's a 5/5 for 5 lifelink that does stuff. Definitely a good one, and it's a warrior again. Yeah, but I like it. Again, fairly expensive. You have to hard cast it though. Then we get Ultramarines Honor Guard. This is a 2/2 starter's warrior. It costs 4. Again, the mana value is fairly high. It has squad 2. Again, and other creatures you control get +1/+1. So this is an anthem effect on a creature, and you can multiply this. So this is really, really nice. But again, the mana value is well, significantly hindering you if you don't have ways to cast it. So we'll see. As I said, we get to the end, we'll try and evaluate everything as it goes. Then we get Vexillus Praetor. This is a 3/4 Custodes warrior, costs 4, has flash, vigilance, and Aegis of the Emperor. This is commanders you control have protection from everything, which is very in theme because the Custodes are the bodyguards of the Emperor, and you know, the palace where the throne is. So it makes good sense. And yeah, this is a great little card. It allows you to have protection from everything. You can flash it in play. It is a fairly bit expensive, like compared to the Unbreakable Formation, I think is the one that, you know, protects for 3 and then it costs nothing if your commander is in play, but still is a way to give your commander protection from everything. So it's okay. It's good. It's definitely good, but again, it's fairly expensive. Again, I'm talking from a standpoint of how I will play the deck. When I'm saying this, 4 is not as expensive in commander overall as a curve, but if you're playing tokens, usually you want to be low on the mana curve and then hit hard and wide. This is usual, but not necessarily. Maybe this is just another way to play the deck, and we'll see. Then we get Zephyrim. This is a 3/3 human warrior that costs 4. It's a creature, of course, has squad 2, flying vigilance, and you can miracle it for 2. So that's interesting. I like this one. Yeah, for sure, I like it. And then, you know, you can if you have 4, you can at least create 2 of these. It has flying and vigilance. I really like these. I mean, these cards are strong. Even the Vexillus Praetor, they're very strong cards. Then we get the Sisters of Silence. This is a 3/3 human knight that costs 5, has flash and psychic abomination. When it enters the battlefield, you counter target instant spell, sorcery, activated ability, or triggered ability. Great little card. It is a knight, so this is usually one of those cards that you can play in knight tribal decks. And yeah, overall it is fairly expensive to play though and cast, but it is a great little card to have overall on a creature that can then be buffed by all the other creatures. And anthem effect. Then we get Vanguard Suppressor. This is a 3/2 Astartes warrior, costs 4, has squad 2 and flying. So it's really good. So far, I would like to point out most of yes, they are expensive, but you always have either squad or vigilance and squad, lifelink, miracle. So the creatures tend to be like a jack of all trades. So definitely worth the mana value, as I'm starting to see. So it has flying and suppressive fire. Whenever Vanguard Suppressor deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Very good card, especially that it has flying. Very nice. And then we get onto the black colored. This is Arcoflagellon. It's a 3/1 human that costs 3, and I'm sorry to say this human has seen better days, but to serve the Emperor, one must do what must be done. It is squad 2. It cannot block, and you can pay 3 life with this Enduring ability, and it gains indestructible until the end of turn. This is an interesting one for sure. You're not going to block with it. It's going to be a threat. It's going to trade up for sure, hopefully, unless you pay 3 life to kill something small. This is a good card. Not necessarily the best, but it's a good card. Then we get Primaris Eliminator. This is a 3/2 Astartes Warrior. It costs 5 and it's black. When it enters the battlefield, you choose one, either Executioner round or Hyperfrag round. You either destroy target creature, or creatures you target player controls get -2/-2 until the end of turn. Now, this could be a decent wipe if there are a lot of small creatures on an opponent's board. Otherwise, this is more for the destruction use, and again, it's sorcery speed because it does not have flash. There are better removals overall, but it's okay. If you're wanting to stay tribal, that's not bad, but meh. Now we get the Assault Intercessor. This is a 3/2 Astartes Warrior that costs 1 generic and then Orzhov, has First Strike and Menace, which is really good, and then it has Chainsword. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. That's interesting, and that's an interesting way to introduce the Chainsword. It's annoying, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, it's nice. You need to wipe the board, or you need to have creatures that kill their creatures to be able to do this. If you can do that, then this is a great card. If not, this is more of a decent because it has First Strike and Menace, and then some little whipped cream sprinkled on top. Then we get a 2/4 Belisarius Call. Oh, Belisarius is here. So this is one of the how was it? The cult from Mars, the Technomancers, the mechanics. Sorry, I don't remember. It's a little foggy here. So it is a human, and it's got 2 generic and then Azurius, and it has Ultima Founding. You can tap it. So tap to untap artifacts you control. Okay, so that's not cheap. And then create a 2/2 Astartes Warrior token with Vigilance. I understand the theme. It's a shame that you have to tap 2 because usually those artifacts do something for you on the board. They're not just there empty-handed unless you have a lot of artifact lands, and even then those lands can tap for something else. So it would have been better to tap 1, but because you also need to tap him. Now let's see what the other ability is. Master of Machines. You tap it, tap X and tap creatures you control. You look at the top X cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them, put it into your hand, and put the rest at the bottom of the library in a random order. It's not bad. You get to cycle through the first few cards. It's really expensive to do this as well because you're engaging your creatures to do this. Now, if you know that you're going to be getting a really great artifact, then great. But otherwise, it's not necessarily something that I'll be holding my breath for because it is fairly expensive to what it's trying to achieve. Next up, we get Birth of the Imperium. This costs 2 generic and Esper, and it's a Saga enchantment. Beautiful art, by the way, extremely beautiful art. So for Birth of the Imperium, step 1, you get to create a 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature with Vigilance for each opponent you have. That's very strong. And then each opponent sacrifices a creature. Okay, that's very annoying for them. And then draw 2 cards for each opponent controls fewer creatures than you, which hopefully it's actually going to be a lot because, you're going to be creating a board of tokens. So hopefully that'll be the thing. I really like this card. Very nice. And it's the first saga that we see of the deck. And I wonder if there are going to be more. Then we get Kaldus Assassin. This is a 3/3 human shapeshifter assassin. Costs 6. So it's not cheap. It has flash and polymorphine. You may have the assassin enter the battlefield tapped as a copy of any target creature on the battlefield, except it has, when this creature enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 other target creature with the same name as this creature. So basically it replaces the creature. It's not bad actually. You can definitely be nasty with this. it is expensive again, and I'm worried because you're paying a lot of mana to do, well, something that usually token decks can do fairly cheaply. So yeah, again, you get a lot of 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s, that's for sure, but at the same time, I'm a little bit worried about the mana curve in the early game, and we'll see if there's a lot of generation, because this is fairly expensive in a deck in general, if that doesn't have a lot of, well, ramp, but it could be really good. I mean, depending on how you build the deck, it could be an essential key piece or just overall a nuisance removal, because you don't have a lot of spot removal so far. So you get a 2-for-1 again, so I understand why it's getting on the more expensive side. Now this is more the expected cost for, you know, go wide and weenies. This is a 2/2 human soldier called Commissar Severina Rain. It costs 1 generic and hordes of, and it's a legendary creature leading from the front. Whenever Commissar attacks, each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. Now this is amazing in this kind of deck, of course, because you're gonna have a lot of tokens, one hopes. And then Summary Execution for 2, sacrifice another creature, gain 2 life, draw a card, and then this also does synergize with Celestine, so that's a really good one. And of course, tokens, you know, you can stack them, it's not bad. Really good card in this synergy. Then we get Company Commanders. The 2/4 for 4 has 2 abilities. As a human soldier, it has command section. When it enters the battlefield, you get to create a number 1/1 white soldier creature tokens equal to the number of opponents you have, so effectively creating a board power of, well, yeah, it's 5 in general, so it's not bad. And then bring it down. Whenever company commander attacks, creatures you control gain death touch until the end of turn. That's very good for the go white strategy, so I like that. Then we get Cybernetica Datasmith. This is a 0/1 human artificer. It costs 1 generic, and then the mirror. It is an artifact creature. It is a human artificer and protection from robots. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, it has field reprogramming. For 1 blue, you tap this creature, target player draws a card, another target player creates 4/4 colorless robot artifact creature token. This creature can't block, so this is a bit annoying. You're creating either advantage in the form of drawing or in very powerful tokens for your opponents, and it has to be another target player, so you can't choose yourself twice, so therefore not as great. And so far, as you can see, there aren't a lot of spells, enchantments, or artifacts. We still have a lot to go, but there aren't a lot of creatures, so a lot of it reminds me a little bit of how slivers work, as most of the abilities tend to be on the card. You have like 2-3 abilities or more on the card. That's why they're a bit more expensive. Now we get Exterminatus, of course. This is really cool, and I love the art. So Exterminatus is a sorcery. It costs 7, so that's not cheap. Non-land permanents your opponents control lose indestructible until the end of turn. Destroy all non-land permanents. Now this is really good. That's a long-term strategy, of course, but the first line is what makes it. The fact that it makes indestructible destructible makes a lot of synergies very useless, so that's really good. I really like this card, although it is again fairly expensive as a removal, but it's great as a removal because you're not removing your side, you're removing your opponents. So yeah, definitely a keep. And then we get The Flesh is Weak. It costs 2 generic, and the Esper is an enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Very nice. I love the counters, because if this gets removed, the counters stay in play. And then creatures you control with a +1/+1 counters on them are artifacts, okay, in addition to their other types, of course, and this is reminiscent and hinting at the fact that there are a lot of augmentations for a lot of Space Marines. And then non-artifact creatures get -1/-1, effectively making your whole entire board at the time of this entering, well, that much more stronger. So yeah, it's a very interesting enchantment. I like it. It's good. Then we get Inquisitor Eisenhorn. Oh, we get to see Eisenhorn. Now, if you don't know, Eisenhorn is a huge key figure in the Warhammer lore. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, some of the best Warhammer novels that have been made are the Eisenhorn series, because he's an Inquisitor. So yeah, I mean, that's not to take away from any of the wonderful novels that they made, but some of the fan favorite ones, one of them is the Eisenhorn series. So let's see what they made out of him. This is a 2/3 legendary creature, costs 2 generic and the mirror. You may reveal the first card you draw each turn as you draw it. Kind of also synergizes with Miracle. And whenever you reveal an instant or sorcery card this way, which we don't have a lot of so far, you get to create Cerubiel, a legendary 4/4 black demon creature token with flying. And that's really nice, really strong. And now we see why Cerubiel is here. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you get to investigate that many times. Wow, that's really nice. I'm wondering though, the way that this reads, deals combat damage to a player, investigate that many times. Yeah, so it's not for the damage dealt, it's just how many times it deals damage to a player. Because, you know, for example, you can have more than one attack phase depending on what enchantments you use. So, and that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is a great little creature. You do show the first card you draw each turn, so that's a little bit of a disadvantage, but at the same time you get to create this huge black demon and you may reveal it as well, so it's not a necessity. Very good token generator. Did an honor to him. That's really cool. Then we get Neam Shai Morad, and it's a 3/3 human rogue, and it costs 4 for the generic. And Orzhov, it's a rogue trader legendary creature. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may have that player return target permanent card from their graveyard to their hand. If you do, that player chooses a permanent card in your graveyard and you put it onto the battlefield under your control. It's an interesting one. I like the hint of the rogue trader, which is also a tabletop game with the minis. It's a strange one, right? Because you're getting them a creature's back. You choose which creature, so that's fine. And it's a may. You don't have to, and they get to put a creature back into play, and you have a lot of creatures that do a lot. So yeah, it's one of those ones that it's good. It's a bit better than good, actually. Then we get Sister Hospitaller, which is a 3/2 human cleric. It costs 6. Wow, like cleric, that's very expensive. And yeah, it has Medicus Ministrorum. This says that when a sister enters the battlefield, you return target creature card from graveyard to the battlefield, and you gain life equal to its mana value, effectively making Celestine 2-for-1 with this one, or this making it 2-for-1. So yeah, very nice if you have Celestine. Otherwise, it's still fairly good. My only concern is you don't have a lot of cards that cost 6 except for the Callous Assassin. But yeah, it's good to get a reanimate in. There are better ways to reanimate in black though, and they are cheaper. So I would say if you have Celestine, definitely keep this. Otherwise, it's kind of, you know, up in the air, but definitely I like. Then we get Sister Repentia. This is a 5/1 wow human warrior, costs 5, and it has Martyrdom. So this is a creature and it's not legendary. When it dies, you gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. Okay, that's very nice. So you can see that there's a definite theme here. And then we get, for miracle cost, you can cast it for Orzhov and making it very cheap. And if you can miracle it, this is really good. And otherwise, it's not bad. You get to deal 5 damage. It's what is the lightning? What is the card? It costs 3 red. Let me know in the comments down below. It's not lightning bolt. It was I think it was in Legends that it was introduced. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of that, but it's a 2-for-1er. It does not have haste though, but you do get to draw cards and gain life. And again, with Celestine, you do get to do quite a bit. Then we get the Golden Throne. Okay, and they kept the original illustration by Blanketsu, if I'm not mistaken. The Golden Throne costs 4 generic, and it is a legendary artifact. It has arcane life support. If you would lose the game, instead exile the Golden Throne, and your life total becomes 1k, and then 1,000 souls die every day. Of course, you tap this, sacrifice a creature to add 3 mana in any combination of colors. This is very good. The first part is kind of meh. If you're 1 life point, realistically, by the time, you know, the next opponent, unless it's gonna be your turn right after, the next opponent is gonna kill you with a sneeze, realistically. But the second part is really good, and you have a lot of tokens to sack to this, and I love the flavor of this because realistically, yeah, the Emperor is still alive and on life support. It's just he is a skeleton, and he is keeping the forces of the warp at bay with his, you know, psychic power, and allowing for safe passage through the warp, and yeah, keeping it away from the storms. And at the same time, you also have the 1,000 souls die each day, because 1,000 souls have to die each day to keep the throne going and to sustain the Emperor. So this is very flavorful, and it's really strong for this second ability. Definitely a must for any sack deck or any token deck. So this is a wonderful little addition. Then we get Inquisitorial Rosette. Costs 2 generic. It's an artifact equipment. Inquisition Agents has the ability, whenever a creature attacks, you get to create a token to do a Stardust Warrior with Vigilance, and that attacking creature gains menace until the end of turn. Okay, so this is really weird. This is strange. This is a strange wording, because why not just give like this equipped creature also has menace because like menace is only when it's attacking. So I don't really. Oh yeah, sorry. I've misread it. So the attacking creature is a Stardust Warrior. So whenever you attack with the equipped creature, you get an attacking a Stardust Warrior. So this is what I was missing, and then it also gets menace until the end of turn. So that's why. Read the card. Yeah, very good. I like it. And it has equipped for 3. It's a decent one, and definitely great in this synergy of this deck. Cool. Now we start to see some of the vehicles here. This is a Night Paladin. It's a 6/6 that costs 5, has trample and rapid fire battle cannon. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to each opponent. That's insane. That's 12 damage on the board for 5 generic. That's really good. And he crit only for 1. Wow. Yeah, please. This is an insanely good vehicle. I'll keep it here for vehicles, but yeah, really good. And then we get the Reaver Titan. So this is where we're up in the size here. It costs 7 generic, and for a 10/10, crew 4, which is insane. Like the crew power, it's so easy to crew 4 with this. You get to create like 2 tokens, then you tap them and you're done. It does not have trample. It does have void shield, so it has protection from mana value 3 or less. Okay, so it cannot be blocked by small creatures. And Gatling Blasters, whenever it attacks, it deals 5 damage to each opponent. Effectively, it deals 10 plus 15. Wow, that's insane. This is really broken. Okay, these 2 are insanely broken in this deck, but it overall in any vehicle deck. Then we get a Redemptor Dreadnought. This is a 4/4 a Stardust Dreadnought that costs 5 generic. Has Fallen Warrior. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you make exile a card from the graveyard. Because, of course, in case you didn't know, the Dreadnoughts, what they do is they are sarcophagi that maintain a fallen Space Marine, and they get transformed and transmuted into this. So the body is housed in here. It's mainly the brain and the heart and some other things, but it's not, you know, the whole body. And yeah, that's very flavorful. And then for Plasma Incinerator, whenever it attacks, if a card is exiled with it, it gets +X until the end of turn, where X is the power of the exiled card. Very good. You can put a 5/1 Sister Repentia, which is kind of funny because, you know, really only Space Marines are allowed to do this, but I understand the flavor would have been really annoying. You get her here, and then you swing in basically for a 9/9. This is a very good artifact creature. I like it, and it's very flavorful. Then we get the Thunderhawk, okay, of course, gunship. This is a 6/6 for 6 flying crew 2 vehicle. When it enters the battlefield, you get to create 2 2/2 white Astartes warrior creatures tokens with vigilance, so already cruise itself. And when it attacks, the attacking creature you control gains flying until the end of turn. Very, very nice, very flavorful, and it has flying. Very, very cool. I like these. I'm not a huge fan of vehicles usually. I think that it just doesn't zing with me, you know, the ability and overall the cards. But with these, absolutely. Then we get Bastion Protector. This is a 3/3 for 3 human soldier. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2 and have indestructible. I like this. They allow, and there are a couple of creatures here that really just pump up your commander, and it's very flavorful. You can even see the Inquisitor Greyfax here. I really, really love this. Of course, you know, if you don't really care for that and you want a better presence on board, then I'd rather have an Anthem for my creatures than just one creature. But flavor-wise, it's really cool. Then we get cool active F-Ward. This costs 3. It's a sorcery, has escalate. You tap and untap creatures you control, and then choose one or more. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Destroy target enchantment creature, or you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. And of course, if you've escalated, you get to do one or more modes beyond the first. This is not bad. You get a spot removal, you get another spot removal for enchantments, which is really strong in commander for this price, and then you get to put counters, which is really, really great. I like this one. Then we get deployed to the front. Of course, this is the guard, and it costs 7, so it's not cheap. It's a sorcery. You create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Finally, there they are, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. So yeah, if you've gone wide, this is definitely going to be very strong, and for 7 is going to be like the kind of strategy that wins you the game. Otherwise, yeah, you don't really want to play it. If you only have like 2 or 3 creatures in the battlefield, this becomes really useless. Then we get entrapment maneuver, and it does happen, it does happen quite often that by the time you can cast this, you've been wiped, the board has been wiped, you haven't had a lot of board presence, even though you've cast a lot of things, because, you know, your opponents have removals as well. Anyway, you get entrapment maneuver with the Tyranids here. Costs 4, it's an instant. Target player sacrifices an attacking creature. You create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens, where X is the creature's toughness. Very, very nice. I like this one. It's an instant. It's the first instant that we see in the deck. The attacking player does choose the creature that they sacrifice, but otherwise it's very, very nice. Of course, if they have a 1/1, then maybe don't target them with this, but it's not bad. Like, I'd rather have a more better spot removal, but at the same time, this has synergy with the tokens, so you gotta give and get some, you know. Fell the Mighty, cost 5. It's a sorcery. Destroy all creatures with power greater than target creature's power. Very nice. If you have a board presence of 3s and 2s, then, which is what it looks like here, the average is 3, then definitely very good on your side. Absolutely wonderful sorcery to remove. So we have quite a few now board wipes. I like that. Then we get the Hour of Reckoning. This is huge. It costs 4 and 3 white pips, so that's a 7. Has Convoke, okay, and it says destroy all known token creatures. So, and this is a classic. I really like this one. Yeah, it's, you know, it's perfect in this kind of deck because with Convoke it's really not bad. Then we get to launch the fleet. It costs 1 white. It's a sorcery. It has Strive. The spell costs 1 more generic to cast for each target beyond the first. Till the end of turn, any number of target creatures each gain. Whenever this creature attacks, you create a 1/1 white soldier creature token that's tapped and attacking. So yeah, this is another way to create more tokens. Very appreciated. And yet another one, Martial Coup. This costs X and 2 white. It's a sorcery. You create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. If X is 5 or more, you also destroy all other creatures. So this is like the White Sun's Twilight. Not bad. You know, it's fairly good, and you get to create tokens. And if you need to, you can also become a board wipe, so yet another board wipe. I'm hoping that you can start seeing a bit more protection for your creatures as well, board wipe, because if you don't have a board wipe protection when you're wiping, you're just undoing all the hard work you've done. Then we get Other End. It costs 4. Exile target non-land permanent. Yeah, there are better removals that cost 3 for this slot, but it's good to get us a spot removal that's an instant, so that's really, really nice. And then we get a classic, the Everflowing Chalice with a really creepy art. I think this is the Blood Angels Chalice, and of course it's a classic, so it's 0 to cast. It's an artifact. You can multi-kick it for 2, and Everflowing Chalice enters the battlefield with charge counter for each time it was kicked, and then you tap to add X generic mana for the amount of charge counters on the chalice. So yeah, it's very good in this kind of deck because you do have a lot of expensive spells, and as I was saying, if you don't have the Smothering Tide, one of the ways that you can easily ramp into casting those expensive spells is cards like this one, just overall artifacts. So definitely a really good card for this deck. Then we get the Choked Estuary, of course. So this is one of those reveal lands and enters the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, the Darkwater Catacombs with a new art, very, very beautiful. Then we get the Exotic Orchard with a new art, also very nice, and this has Tyranids here. Then we get the Port Town, okay, beautiful art. Prairie Stream, that's nice. Sky Cloud Expanse, Sunken Hollow. You know, I would have loved to have seen a little bit more, maybe new lands, maybe some legendary lands to you know, define the historic places. I don't know, I'm not done, but maybe some lands to define the historic places in Warhammer 40k. And we get And They Shall Know No Fear. This is a staple phrase in Warhammer. Costs 2. It's an instant. You choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+0, indestructible until the end of turn. This is one of the better ways to protect a tribal deck. Very, 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 very good. Absolutely a must keep in any tribal deck, and you do have a lot of warriors or soldiers depending on how you go about doing things. Then we get Grey Knight Paragon. This is a 4/4 and it costs 5 enhanced flash and Rites of Banishment. When it enters the battlefield, you get to destroy target attacking creature. If that creature is a demon, you exile it instead. A bit expensive for what it's trying to do. Then we get Space Marine Scout. It's a 2/1 that costs 3. As an Astartes Scout creature, has first strike and vigilance, so that's really, really good. And then we get Concealed Position. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you may search your library for a plains card, put it onto the battlefield tab, and then shuffle. So yeah, this is I mean, there are a lot of themes of this one. Of this kind of card. If you're playing a lot of basic lands, then this is a great card to keep. Otherwise, yeah, it's not really a necessity, but it's a very, very good card because, yeah, it's worth it if you're playing planes. But even then, yeah, it's a first strike vigilance for, you know, for 3. It's good. Ooh, Thunderwolf Cavalry. So we get to see the Space Wolves as well. This is a 4/4 Astartes Warrior that costs 5, has first strike and Crushing Teeth. Whenever Thunderwolf Cavalry deals combat damage to a player, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And with the fact that it has first strike, it's really annoying. If you give it flying, for example, with a Thunderhawk or with any other buffing abilities, then it's even more so annoying. And you get to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. It's other creature, but it's still insane. Very, very, very good. Absolutely great card. Then we get Sakarian Infiltrator. This is a 1/2 artifact creature human soldier, costs 3 for flash and squad 2. Okay, so we still see against a little bit of squad. And Benediction of the Omnissiah. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Very nice, because if you have a lot of mana, then you can draw like 2, 3, 4 cards. So that's really, really nice. And you can flash it in as well, and it can synergize with soldiers. Yeah, nice little creature. It's good. It's not amazing, but yeah. Oh, then we get Sanguinary Priest. So this is a Blood Angels, but I would have expected them to be red. But I understand that the theme is kind of black with them sacrificing and using blood. Anyways, it's 2/4 Astartes Cleric that costs 4, has Lifelink and Blood Chalice. Whenever another creature you control dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. It's not bad. It's nice that it has Lifelink so it can synergize with Celestine, but other than that, I don't know. Yeah, it's the kind of thing like you can get better for this kind of slot, because yeah, it's just whenever another creature you control dies, yeah, it's okay. Then we get Deny the Witch. This is a 1 generic and then as perk instant. Counter target spell, activated ability or triggered ability is controlled loses life equal to the number of creatures you control. Very good, actually. The first part is okay because it's really expansive, but the second part, yeah, this is really, really nice. It's a burn spell at the same time as a counter spell. You don't get to see this very often, and especially in this color combination, I very much like it. Then we get Primaris Chaplain. This is a 3/3 Astartes Cleric. It costs 4, has Battle Cry. Whenever this creature attacks each other, attacking creature gets +1/+0 until the end of turn. Very good for your deck, seeing as you have a lot of tokens. Then we get Rosarius. When it attacks, it gains indestructible until the end of turn. So that's really, really nice. Effectively, you can always attack with it, doesn't matter, and you always buff your creatures. Absolutely a very good card in this deck. Source to Plowshares with a new art. Classic, and you get some more targeted removal. I like that. Then we get Reconnaissance Mission. This is an enchantment that costs 4. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. So yeah, this is very good. Absolutely important for your deck. I'm surprised this is an uncommon because yeah, yeah, it's really great for the kind of token decks. You go so wide, and it's for every time the creature deals combat damage. So when it's not whenever one or more. So this is a draw engine. You don't get a lot of them, so it's nice to have. Then we get Mortify, great target removal, and yeah, destroy target creature or enchantment. Very, very nice. So you have a lot of tools in this deck. It's really, really good. Now we get a Mind Stone, of course, classic with the new art. Costs 2 generic. It's an artifact. You tap it for 1 generic and for 1 and tap sack it and you draw a card. And then we get the Skull Clamp. Wow, with the servo art. Wonderful, wonderful little card. Costs 1 generic, and it's an artifact equipment that is one of the better ones for the smaller creatures. That creature gets +1, -1, and when it dies, you get to draw 2 cards and you can equip it for 1. Very, very, very good. And this is one of the draw engines, kind of, as long as it's not removed from play. Then we get a Soul Ring with the new art. Talisman of Dominance, of course. I was hoping and expecting to see them, so they're very, very good. Talisman of Hierarchy and of Progress. So you get all 3 talismans in here. Very much appreciated. What else are we missing mana wise though? Because I think like maybe a Commander Sphere. Yeah, Felwar Stone. Then we get Arcane Sanctum, of course. None of the fake triumphs. The Ash Barons, of course. Memorial to Glory. This is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. You tap 1 to add 1 white. Tap to add 1 white. And then for 4, you tap, sacrifice it, and create 2 1/1 white soldier creatures. Not bad, actually. There are better ways in the deck, of course, to do that, and I'd rather remove this if you have better lands to replace it with. Otherwise, not bad. Arcane Signet, of course. So this is another one that I was hoping to see, and it's very good. And Commander Sphere. So that's great. You've done pretty much as much as I expected. Yeah, Commander Sphere is a classic. And then we get the Command Tower, of course. Dismal Backwater, the Evolving Wilds, Ever Present, Path of Ancestry, Scour Barrens, Terramorphic Expanse, Tranquil Cove, and then we start to look at the lands. We get 5 islands, 7 swamps, and 8 plains. So that was it for our overview of the deck. Now let's try and review it. Overall, this deck is actually impressively well done. Now let's have a look at the creature slot. So what is this deck trying to do creature wise? It is very much a go-wide strategy and token generation with some lifelink interaction in there. There are quite a few lifelink hinting creatures, and that's really, really good. And overall, you just have an army to create here, which is very thematic for what I mean the theme of Warhammer is in general, and you know the forces of the Imperium are trying to do. Now here you're looking at things though they're still fairly expensive. Yeah, you get to do a lot with them, but for something that you know usually we're used to seeing, you know, tokens generations that are on the lower end. Yeah, the mana curve is fairly high. I think it's around 5 at the moment as it stands, maybe 4. So it's a bit skewed towards the mid game kind of deck, which is okay. It's not a bad thing at all. It's not a detriment to it, but I would want to ramp to it. So that's the thing, like how I would want to do that. Now, the way they are ramping here is by using artifacts, and they do give you some really good ones, especially to the talismans. It's nice to see all 3 of them because of Esper, and you do get the soul ring as usual. You do get some mana generation. I love the gold throne. This is one thing that I would have done more. I would have put some more sack to give mana, because then it balances out. And it's definitely something that you could do yourself, is add some astronaut's altar, or any kind of altars that allows you to sacrifice to add sacrifice creatures to add mana. So that's fairly something that you could do, because you'll be generating so many creatures with the tokens that you can then use them to add mana and then create more creatures much more quick. Of course, again, you can just play it as a mid-rangey deck, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, enchantment wise, you have some card draw, and you get some anthem type effects, and you get some token effects and some more token effects. So yeah, this is like, these 2 are kind of meh, and these are okay. I would have preferred to see maybe a bit more anthem type effects, or some better way to create tokens. Then we look at sorceries. Sorceries are very, very good. You have exactly what sorcery you want to do: generate more tokens, destroy, clear the board, which is really nice. You have some targeted ones, which are really, really good. You get to put counters or some targeted removal. Just overall great. I love the sorcery aspect here. I love the creature side as well. I love, surprisingly, the vehicles in this one are amazing and really synergize with this deck. So absolutely a great little thing. The artifacts as well, they're really, really good. So a definite great card, and you have a lot of great instants here, some protection, and yeah, overall not a bad slot. And you even have a burn counter, which I really love, and then they shall know no fear, which is great for tribal. Now, I'm a little worried. Of course, I've not played with the deck yet. I'm a little worried that it's trying to do a little bit too much, and maybe needs a bit more solidifying into things. But at the same time, I think it's a very good deck. It's got enough removal that I don't believe that's going to be an issue. I think with this kind of deck, though, again, I always go more for protection and board-wide protection. And I understand the better ones are really expensive now, and the Phyrexia V1 was released afterwards, so some of the more protective spells that go board wide were not present when this set came out. So I can't really fault them for that, but maybe I would have created some board wide protection other than and they shall know no fear, to help protect your creatures a bit better. Maybe another couple, you don't need that many, just 2 more would have been perfect. And that's it. Really, this deck is fairly good. I think it's not like gonna be super strong. It's not gonna be, oh my god, I'm gonna hit things straight from the get-go and it's gonna be broken. But it's really, really good. It's really, really well done. I really love the slots, so I'm gonna give this a 7.5 out of 10 overall review. And this is a clear 7.5. I can't go to 8 because it is lacking a little bit, as I said, and in the mana generation side, there are some things they could have done, and in the protection side that they could have done. Also, because they're hinting at tribal, they could have used some tribal aspects a bit more and gone less on some other aspects that they've gone in. So as I said, it's a bit scatterbrained, but it's not the kind of scatterbrained deck that usually Wizard of the Coast releases and it just got no synergy whatsoever and you're wondering. I think, funny enough, the weirdest thing is that the commander itself is not the greatest card. It's not the greatest card for what you're trying to do, because the other one, the general, Manix Skalgar, is a token generator. This is just an overall buffer and a draw, but it's not the strongest card of the deck. So definitely, sadly, you're probably going to replace this with Magnus. But yeah, I mean, it's always good to give vigilance and +1/+0 to all your creatures. It's just, how much of tribal are you going, how much tokens are you going, how much wide are you going. This is the things that you need to figure out. But yeah, the commander is not the strongest synergy for what this deck is trying to do, but overall the deck still can benefit definitely from the commander. That's why I'm not penalizing it so much, because there are some commanders that are just very disjointed from the deck, or the deck is very disjointed from the commanders. So yeah, this is not one of them. They do synergize together, it's just not the strongest for Warriors. So that's it for our review. I'm hoping you're enjoying this new series of Blast from the Past. We'll be hopefully, if we're permitted to do more, we'll be hopefully doing more reviews from previous, expansions, whether it's unboxings. We've already started with some, even the Throne of Eldraine. Old expansion unboxings, and just more Precon decks, and overall just give you some more insight into how well Magic the Gathering has evolved and how these products stack up with current products. So overall, I'm happy. If you like this video, Scotty and I will thankfully ask you to like, thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel, because it does help small channels like ours a lot. No idea. And yeah, let us know in the comments down below what you think about this deck, and did we miss something? Did we should have we said something else? We do read and appreciate any and all feedback and reply to it. And yeah, we'll hope to see you in the next video. Until then, we wish you a lovely day, a blessed day. Be good, be kind, and we'll see you in the next. Bye.